London, 12 degrees Celsius and sunny. Berlin, 6 degrees Celsius and grim. It's the same week in December and they're just 600 miles apart, yet there's a staggering temperature gap. Is the United Kingdom somehow cheating at winter? Let's find out. We're going full weather nerd with interactive maps to discover who really won this week's atmospheric lottery. Let's dive in. Let's dig into the data and unravel the story behind Europe's wildly different winter weather. When you look at the numbers, the contrast is striking, and it all starts with the air masses swirling above us. I've got Ventusky open in front of me, but you could use Earth.Null or ECMWF charts, whichever you prefer. The patterns leap out at you. These tools let us see in real time how air masses move and interact across the continent. Let's start at ground level. In London, people are strolling around in light jackets, enjoying a balmy 12 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, over in Berlin, it's a different story. Residents are bundled up, bracing against temperatures stuck at 5 or 6 degrees. That's a big difference for cities not so far apart. But here's the thing. Surface temperature only tells part of the story. To really understand what's going on, we need to look higher up at the 850 hectopascal level, which is about a mile above the ground. This is where meteorologists get a clearer picture of the true air mass influencing each region. At this altitude, the contrast sharpens. The UK sits beneath a steady flow, a river, really, of mild, moist Atlantic air. Central Europe, on the other hand, is locked under a dome of cold, dry, continental air. The difference is dramatic, and it explains why the weather feels so different on either side of the channel. The Atlantic Ocean is the unsung hero here. Thanks to the Gulf Stream, this vast body of water acts like a giant thermal battery, storing summer's warmth and slowly releasing it through the winter. This warmth is carried by prevailing winds straight toward the UK, keeping its winters much milder than you'd expect for its latitude. The UK is the first landmass this mild oceanic air encounters. As it sweeps inland, it brings cloud, rain, and, crucially, higher temperatures. By the time the air reaches Germany and Poland, it's traveled over hundreds of kilometers of cold land, losing much of its warmth and picking up a chill. Continental air, especially in winter, loses heat rapidly. With little moisture and no ocean nearby to moderate temperatures, a stubborn pool of cold settles over Central Europe. This cold air can linger for days or even weeks, making winters feel harsher and more persistent. If you trace the journey of these air masses, it's clear the UK's warmth is imported, traveling all the way from the Azores and the mid-Atlantic. Berlin's chill, meanwhile, is homegrown, arriving from the vast frigid expanses of Eastern Europe and Russia. It all comes down to origin stories, maritime versus continental. Maritime air is moist, mild, and ever-changing. Continental air is dry, cold, and stubbornly static. The difference shapes not just the weather, but the entire winter experience. So, when you see Londoners enjoying a surprisingly mild winter, it's not that the UK is cheating the system. It's just got a better travel agent, importing warmth from across the ocean, while Central Europe is left to fend for itself. Paris, meanwhile, sits somewhere in between. It gets a diluted dose of Atlantic influence, so its winter temperatures hover around 9 or 10 degrees, milder than Berlin, but not as warm as London. Head further south to Madrid and you'll find a different story again. Surrounded by water and basking in the southern sun, Madrid enjoys winter temperatures of 16 degrees or more. It's almost as if it's playing a different game entirely, with its own set of rules. So in this first round, the real culprit is the air mass. The UK borrows Atlantic warmth, Central Europe is stuck with cold, homegrown air, and the rest of Europe falls somewhere in between. The story of winter is written in the winds. Geography is the UK's secret weapon. Its position right next to the Atlantic means it's always first in line for those mild, moist winds, while countries further east are left with whatever's left after the journey. But there's another layer to this story. Why this week is the Atlantic air streaming into the UK and not Germany? To answer that, we need to look even higher. into the upper atmosphere, where the jet stream draws the battle lines for Europe's winter weather. We often talk about air masses, those vast bodies of air that sweep across continents, carrying their own unique temperatures and moisture. But have you ever wondered why these air masses end up where they do, and what invisible forces guide their journey across Europe, especially in winter? It's not just random chance. There's a fascinating system at work, orchestrating the movement of air, clouds, and weather. So why are the air masses positioned the way they are right now? Let's start by looking at the pressure systems. Notice that big area of high pressure sitting over the UK? That's known as the Azores High, a semi-permanent feature that sometimes stretches its influence far north, building a protective ridge over the British Isles. Think of high pressure as the ultimate bouncer at the door of a club. It stands firm, arms crossed, blocking the entry of cold, unwelcome air from the north and east. Thanks to this atmospheric bouncer, the UK enjoys milder, sunnier winter days, while the cold is kept at bay. But just a short distance away, over Germany and Poland, the situation flips. Here, low pressure dominates. Instead of blocking, it invites in rising air, which cools and condenses into thick clouds, bringing gloomy, overcast skies and a persistent winter chill. So, while the UK sits snug under a protective dome of high pressure, Berlin and much of Eastern Europe are stuck beneath a gloom generator, with little hope of sunshine breaking through. But what's really holding these pressure systems in place, almost like pieces on a chessboard? The answer lies high above us, in the powerful river of air known as the jet stream. This week, the jet stream is dramatically buckled, arching northward over the UK, then plunging south over Eastern Europe. This wavy pattern acts like a conveyor belt, steering warm Atlantic air toward Britain, while shunting cold Arctic air down into Germany and Poland. The result? The UK basks on the warm, dry side of the jet stream, reinforcing that high-pressure shield. Meanwhile, Germany and Poland are trapped on the cold, cloudy side, stuck in the trough where low pressure rules. In this grand atmospheric drama, the jet stream is the architect, dictating where high and low pressure systems set up shop, and ultimately deciding who gets sunshine and who gets shivers. It's a clear chain of command. The jet stream shapes the pressure systems, and those pressure systems steer the air masses, determining the weather we experience on the ground. So, this week, the UK's atmospheric shield blocks out the cold and welcomes in gentle Atlantic breezes, keeping things mild and bright. Meanwhile, Germany and Poland are left under a blanket of clouds and cold, waiting for the pattern to shift. It's a perfectly choreographed atmospheric performance, a dance of air, pressure and wind, shaping the winter weather across Europe, one system at a time. Let's break it down with a side-by-side comparison of our 5 capitals: London, Paris, Berlin, Warsaw and Madrid. Each city, unique in its own right, faces winter with a different set of challenges and charms. From the Atlantic-washed streets of London to the sun-drenched plazas of Madrid, let's see how these capitals stack up when the cold sets in. Temperature: London leads the pack with a surprisingly mild 12 degrees Celsius, making it the warmest of the bunch. Paris follows at a cool 9 degrees, offering a classic chilly French winter. Berlin and Warsaw, both sitting at 6 degrees, are definitely feeling the bite of continental cold. But Madrid, basking in southern sunshine, tops the chart at 16 degrees, almost spring-like compared to its northern neighbours. Cloud cover: London enjoys a rare, mostly sunny spell, a welcome break from its usual grey. Paris is under partly cloudy skies, giving the city a moody, cinematic feel. Berlin and Warsaw, meanwhile, are shrouded in thick overcast, with snowflakes drifting down and a sense of winter's full force. Madrid, true to form, basks in bright, clear winter sunshine, almost as if winter forgot to show up. Rain risk: London, often known for its drizzle, is enjoying a very low chance of rain, making it perfect for a winter stroll. Paris faces a slight chance of showers, so an umbrella might be wise. Berlin and Warsaw, however, are dealing with a high risk of rain or even wet snow, making for slippery streets and bundled-up locals. Madrid, on the other hand, stays dry and sunny, barely a cloud in sight. Overall mood: Londoners are out and about, enjoying the mild weather with a touch of smugness. Parisians, wrapped in scarves, stroll contemplatively beneath the grey. Berliners look grim, bracing against the cold and gloom, while Warsaw's residents dash through the rain, umbrellas in hand. In Madrid, the mood is light and relaxed, with crowds soaking up the sun and showing off their good fortune. Dominant influence: London sits under the protective shield of Atlantic high pressure, keeping things mild. Paris, on the edge of the Atlantic's reach, gets a mix of influences. Berlin is ruled by a continental low, bringing cold and clouds. Warsaw is under the grip of an Eastern European trough, which means wet, wintry weather. Madrid, meanwhile, enjoys the benefits of its southern latitude and maritime bliss, escaping the worst of winter's wrath. The table makes it clear: it's not just about temperature. Sun, rain, and geography all play a part in shaping each city's winter experience. The interplay of these factors creates a unique winter personality for every capital, from London's mildness to Berlin's deep freeze. The UK versus Europe title isn't quite fair. What we're really seeing is the Atlantic fringe facing off against the continental core. The ocean's influence keeps the UK and even Paris relatively mild, while Berlin and Warsaw are plunged into the heart of winter by their distance from the sea. Geography and the jet stream have created two very different Decembers: a gentle, almost leisurely slide into winter for the UK, where rain is soft and temperatures are forgiving, and a head-first plunge for Central Europe, where snow falls hard and the cold bites deep. In the end, it's not just about where you are, but how the winds and weather shape your winter story. The UK is enjoying its moment in the sun, but how long will it last? Let's time travel with the weather models. Right now, high pressure keeps the UK warm. Move forward 24 hours, no change. 48 hours, still mild. 72 hours, the jet stream starts to flatten, the high weakens. By day 4 or 5, the high retreats. The Atlantic warmth is cut off and colder air moves in. Low-pressure systems are free to move towards the UK, bringing wind and rain. The temperature map shifts from orange and yellow to green and blue. The win is over. Winter returns. By next weekend, London's temperature drops to match Berlin's, 5 or 6 degrees, with wind and rain. The Atlantic flow returns, equalizing the weather. The UK's weather lottery win is fleeting, a reminder that the jet stream deals the final hand. Enjoy the mild weather while it lasts. It's on borrowed time. So, the final score this week: UK 1, Continental Europe 0, though Madrid wins the whole tournament. What's it like where you are? Drop your city and temperature in the comments. Let's crowdsource the biggest gap. All the interactive maps I used are linked below. Go explore and be your own weather detective. If you love deep dives into maps and data, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next nerdy adventure. I'll see you soon, probably when the UK's luck runs out and the rain returns. Cheerio from the mild side.